Hi friends, I am Sunil Desai and you are at Galaxy Tutorials. You must have already, I hope you must have already subscribed to our channel, Kumar Sir Galaxy Tutorials. Please press the bell icon so that you get the notifications. Okay, so to the channel you must have already watched lectures of science and maths. Today I am going to start with another subject which too is as important as science and maths because it is a scoring subject. It will give you very good marks, help you to increase your marks in your board exams, and that subject is social science. Now, sorry, in your social sciences you have three subjects: history, geography and political science. Okay, so today we are going to study history, chapter 1, historiography and development in the West. But before we start this chapter, I will ask you to keep your textbook open, get a notebook along with it and keep a pen or a pencil handy so you can mark whatever is important to you, and second thing is that you can also mark the difficulties or any terms which are not understood, you can mark it out. Okay, so have your textbook, a notebook and a pen and pencil handy. Okay, so today we are going to start with the first chapter, historiography, development in the West. Now why this? First of all, what is this historiography? What do you mean by historiography? Historiography is writing of critical historical narratives. See, the word critical is very important. Writing of critical historical narratives. Critical means those narratives. See, how do we know about the things which have happened in the past? Just because you read some historical articles, then you come to know that such and such a thing had happened. So those historical articles or those narratives have to be very critical. That means they should not be biased. Okay, so the word critical is very important. So historiography is writing of critical historical narrative. Okay. Now why are this historical research or writings or studies carried out? Okay, they are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of events. Now what do you mean by chronology? Chronology means arrangement of dates and events. Okay, that such event was held at such time. Okay, then the following event. Okay, then comes the following event. So you get a chronology when a particular event had happened. Okay, so that's the chronology. See, now I'll tell you one thing. You are students of science and math. Now these physical or natural sciences, see, the scientists have made certain formulas or they have proved something long back, thousands of years ago they have proved something. Even today, after thousands of years, you can verify those formulas, those laws by checking it in a laboratory, doing an experiment. Okay, for example, hydrogen plus oxygen gives water. That you can check it even today. Okay, even after 1,000 years, and these statements are true. You can prove that. Okay, but anytime you can prove it. But that is not the case with history. You can't create a historical event again today. You can't have the Battle of Panipat again today. Recreate it. To study. So here lies the importance of historical research. That is why I made a first statement. It should be a critical historical narrative. Okay? So, because in history you cannot formulate laws, you cannot recreate things and events. So, to study the writings of history, you need an expert. So, to write these historical events, you need an expert who has a knowledge about the language, about the script of a historical document. If he doesn't know the language of that time, if he doesn't understand the script of that time, then he won't understand the meaning of the document. For example, Marathi was spoken in ancient times also, during the times of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, they used to speak English. they used to speak Marathi, but the script was not the same of Marathi what we are having today. That script was in Modi. So a person studying Shivaji Maharaj should know Modi script. Okay. Also, the historian, they should be able to examine the authenticity of the document, and they have to use certain criteria to know the authenticity of the document. For example, there is a document, then whether the writing style of that author, or the lettering style, or the paper used, was it available at that time? The ink used, was it available at that time? That has to be checked. Or the stamp of authority, the seal which is put on that letter, is it the same seal which appears in other letters? That has to be checked. So that is how we check the authenticity, whether the particular historical document is true or not. That we come to know after checking all these things of a document. Okay. Then one more thing, that such a document has to be scrutinized, further scrutinized by references. Whether do you find the reference of such an event or such a letter in other documents? Okay, then it has been looked upon. Okay, that this reference you see about this event in other documents also. That means there is a chance that this document may be true. Then you have to check other things of it. Okay, so there is a method to do historical research. Okay, there is a method to do historical research, and that has been given in your green square in your first page of the textbook. What it says that the person who is doing historical research has to first critically examine the various sources. After critically examining the various sources from where he has got the information, he has to collect relevant references, then examine these references, check these references, okay, and he has to understand the references, he has to formulate relevant questions regarding to that document and see whether he gets the answer for these questions, whether he is satisfied with the question, with the answers. Then if he is satisfied, no doubts left. If he is satisfied, then only he can say that the document which he has sourced is true. Okay. And then after doing all these things, he has to formulate his own hypothesis. Means he has to formulate his own explanation based on the evidences which he has received. Okay. Now, to do historical research, we have to take help of different disciplines, different branches of knowledge. Now this, for example, they are archaeology. Archaeology means study of what? Study of human history through excavations. Then archival science, manuscriptology, epigraphy, that is the study of inscriptions, analysis of lettering style. Then he has to study linguistics. Then you should also take the help of numismatics, that is study of coins. Genealogy means where the descent has come, a particular dynasty, his ancestors. Okay, genealogy, study of lineage. Okay, so all these disciplines are important, and a researcher, a historical researcher, has to take help of all these disciplines. Okay, now first we come to in the first unit, we will come to the traditions of historiography. Now, as we said, what is historiography? That is the critically examining the historical sources and writing the historical narrative. Okay? A scholar who writes such a narrative is called a historian. So now this historian can't include each and every event in his narrative. Okay, so first he has to conceptualize a framework. What is he going to narrate you? Okay, about that particular event, what he is finding it interesting, what he is going to narrate you. Narrate the, in what context is going to narrate that event. Okay, and then he has to take those events into consideration which come under that framework. Okay, so the tradition of writing historical narrative, that is historiography, was not prevalent in ancient times because people were not able to write, people were not knowing writing. Then at that time, but does it mean that they were not interested in narrating the valor or bravery of the ancestors? No, they were interesting. So what did they do then? They painted caves, they had inscription on the cave walls, they told stories, they sang songs, they sang ballads. Okay, and this way they pass on the information of the ancestors to their young ones, and this carried on till writing came. Okay, once people started writing, they started writing the narratives. Okay, so but even these folk songs or stories, ballads, okay, all these are considered as the source of history. Okay, now but today's historiography is different, modern historiography. Okay, the modern historiography has four main characteristics. Now what are the four main characteristics of modern historiography? The first characteristic is that it is based on scientific principles. Okay, that means it is based on relevant questions. Means the historian is first going, if he receives any document, any historical object, he is first going to ask numerous questions to himself, and he will try to get answers for these questions in a scientific way. That is known as the scientific perspective. Okay, these questions are anthropocentric. That means that these questions are about the deeds of the members of ancient human societies of that particular period. Okay. And most important thing is that history does not suggest any integration between the divine and the human deeds. No, history doesn't suggest any integration. There is no integration between divine, something happening with God's grace and human deeds. No, history is only about human deeds. In the same page, page number 2, you have a brown square. In that there is a picture of a earliest inscription. Okay. Now this picture shows a fragment, a part of an earliest inscription. Okay. In this inscription, what you see, there is a file of soldiers, a line of soldiers. Okay. They are holding shields and spears, and their chief, the general, is in the front. Now this tradition of recording historical events through inscriptions dates back to the Sumer civilization. Okay, and where was the Sumer civilization? Sumer civilization was in Mesopotamia, a very funny name, which is today's Iraq. Okay, names of Sumerian kings and the stories of the battles they fought have been preserved in various inscriptions, such as this, which has been shown in a textbook. Okay, the earliest inscription which has been shown above dates back to 4500 BC. So old is the Sumerian, that was the Sumerian dynasty. Okay, and it records a battle fought between two kingdoms. Okay, it is now displayed at the Louvre Museum in France. Okay. Now, let us come back to the modern historiography. Now, whatever the questions asked by the historian in modern historiography, these questions are supported by reliable evidences. Okay. The answers to these questions are supported by reliable evidences. There should be he asks questions and then he searches answers for that, and there should be reliable evidence to prove these answers. Okay. And history presents, and the fourth characteristic of modern historiography is that it presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of past human deeds, how mankind has progressed a few centuries back till today. So, modern historiography, the fourth characteristic of modern historiography is the graph of mankind's journey, okay, from on the basis of his past human deeds. Now coming to the word history. Now, history is originally a Greek term, and this term was used first by a French historian, the famous French historian, okay, Herodotus, and this historian Herodotus, who was in the 5th century BC, okay, he wrote a book and he named the book, the title of his book was The Histories. So the word history comes from Greece, okay, the 5th century Greek historian Herodotus. Now let us see how the scientific perspective developed in Europe and historiography. Okay, just as I said, in the first characteristic of a modern historiography is what? Scientific perspective. Now how did this scientific perspective develop in Europe and historiography? As you all know, in the 18th century CE, Europe had achieved a remarkable progress in philosophy and sciences. Scholars then started beginning that to believe the possibility of studying the social and historical truths by applying scientific methods. Now they started believing that we can use scientific methods to study historical things. Okay. Now the philosophical discussions focus more and more on objectivity in history and historiography increased. Okay. But before this, before the 18th century, most of the philosophical discussions were based on divine phenomena, on God's grace. Okay. However, gradually the scenario changed. People got a scientific perspective, and in 1737 CE, at the Göttingen University in Germany, a first independent department to study history was established. So, to study history, a separate department, an independent department in the University of Göttingen was founded in 1737. Okay, and after that, this was followed by many other German universities. And with this, I end my first lecture and I take a break and we'll come back where we are going to talk about the notable scholars who have given some, who have played an important role, okay, who have given some contributions to modern historiography. Thank you.